hear this rattling from back here. And inside this drawer has been something super annoying. This. No thanks. All right, here we go again. Yeah. Oh, that sounds way better. Rise and shine, everybody. We are in Squamish, BC, playing around in the backcountry a little bit. And you guys want to see? I don't do well with heights. You guys want to see over the edge? Oh, yeah, that is way down there. Anyway, as we cruise around here this morning, I'm starting to realize that my van and me has limits out here. There's just some places I don't feel comfortable putting my home. One mistake and you lose everything, you know? I wouldn't want to be in that situation. The suspension I have on my van is pretty much mostly factory, except for we did one extra leaf spring in the back. So already we're maxed out on what the leaf spring stacks can do, because they've been in there since the factory, except for one of them. There's one extra thick one in there to handle a bit more weight, and it's borderlining. And in the front, we just have springs from a Ford truck. Holding this entire van up is a small little stack of leaf springs. That's the factory stack. There's not much there, and the back of my van weighs just a smidge over 5,000 pounds on these poor little buggers. On the front, these are coils out of a Ford F450 truck, I think, so they're a little bit heavier rated than what my van came with, and those are just replacement shocks for my van, but I don't think those are meant to handle the abuse the backcountry gives it. Well, Cruz, what do you say? The back of the van's just maybe a little mushy? Is that how you'd explain it? Just mushy? We're gonna go with mushy. Look at the size of that space on the back side of my van. That is a lot of weight. I have my fridge back there, there's storage cabinets, part of my pull-out back drawer is back there. That's a lot of weight on this side of the van. When if you had a Chevy Express van or a shorter Ford van, most of that weight would be above the axle and a little bit farther forward, not causing the problems that I'm having. I find things are very heavy on the backside, and because my suspension doesn't keep things nice and solid, my van's been very mushy in the back lately. So when I hit a situation like this, you can really feel the weight kind of like bog the van down. And what I'm finding is that because my leaf springs aren't that good right now, that every time it bounces down, it feels like it pulls the front end up a bit, and I feel like I'm losing traction. The van doesn't feel like it has very good control back here in the backcountry sometimes, and it wasn't like that when I first got all of this build done when I was in Ontario this year. I never had this experience until probably the last 3 months. Maybe it's because I'm shoving my van in the backcountry more often and the suspension's taken more and more abuse. And maybe the factory suspension is like, I wasn't manufactured for this. So I think we're gonna be making some suspension changes. No, we are going to be making some suspension changes. I definitely have a lot of cool things going on here on the back side of my van. A lot of luxuries and conveniences that have been added over the past year and some that have just completely changed how I live my life in my van. Having the pull-out drawer makes things so much easier to access. Having the extra counter space in the back gives me extra workspace, gives me an office desk and a table if I want to just hang out with some people. Having the spare tire on the back has been awesome because the bigger tires don't fit underneath, but all of these things and the fridge have added weight on the backside of my van, on this side of my back tire, making things very bouncy when the suspension just doesn't want to take the weight anymore. I could have put the large fridge inside of my van, but then that would have eaten up a whole lot of living space in there, and I enjoy the way my van build is because it gets the things that I really don't access all the time out of my living space. So I kind of enjoy having this back here. Having this back here has been completely beautiful. It's so nice to have all my stuff all stored back here for easy access. Tools and chairs and all those other things are all right in here. In scenarios like this, I could sit here all day and say, well, maybe I should have done this or I should have done that. Everything I have in my van is functional and it works. To be honest, it never affected my van for the last 7-8 months or however long this thing's been in here. It's never affected it. I've been in the backcountry, I've done highway driving. It's never, ever once made me go, well, maybe that thing's actually too heavy, or maybe my fridge is actually too heavy. Never. So what's making me think all these problems are just simply suspension. So I've been chatting with the great crew over at Weltec Designs in California. We talked about my situation and my van and the bounciness and all those other things that are going on with me. And they have a solution for my van, which will get me more height, more clearance, the proper shocks that are needed, a set of big, huge coils in the front that'll take all the abuse and the load, and a progressive set of leaf springs in the back that will handle the weight of my van build. Weltec Designs makes a kit that's, I love the name of it. It's the 6-inch Baja grocery getter kit for the Ford Econoline van. They make them for the Chevys and they're doing some pretty amazing things. So Jeremy said that I think my lift kit is on its way pretty soon. So what that's going to give me is a huge set of leaf springs in the back, a proper set of Fox 2.0 shocks in the rear, in the front. They're like these 4x4 coils with Fox 2.0 shocks in the front. It's got longer radius arms which drive the front tires forward a little bit, allowing me to run a bigger tire. It's also got these bent I-beams in the front like that, which help with the wheel camber. And having a 6-inch lift in here with the way they've done the front suspension is going to allow me to get some articulation in the front of my van. So when I'm going through areas that are a little bit gnarly, it'll have that articulation in the front, which I don't really have right now. Things just get all bendy and twisty and they don't feel right. Or something else too. It even has this steering stabilizer thing, because there's times when you hit a bump or a rut and it just pulls your steering wheel all over the place. Well, it's gonna have a little Fox shock in there. So when my steering wheel hits those ruts, it absorbs it in the shock instead of my steering wheel getting dragged all over the place. That is gonna be pretty cool too. I first seen this Weltec Designs kit not long after I bought my van. I was drooling on it for a very long time. I'm like, I need that in my van. And it's taken me close to 3.5 years now to make that happen, and I'm really excited about this. But when all of this was coming to life, I messaged our friend John at J5 Custom Vans, because he's the only actual 4x4 guy I know that has experience in building out a 4x4 van. Not like this is going to be 4x4, it's just going to be a super lifted 2-wheel drive. So he's going to be doing the install on this kit for me. But while I was talking to John, we are actually going to put a locking differential in the back of my van. So when I get into situations like this and I only have one tire turning, I flip the switch, it locks the rear end in. Now both of my tires will turn at the same time. So coming up before my big summer trip, and I know I've been mentioning this to you guys for a long time, we're doing this 6-inch Baja grocery getter kit from Weltec Designs. We are doing a rear locker, which I'm pumped about. And to top it all off, I'm getting a front winch. I messaged the crew at hitchweb.com, the company that we did the entire roof rack system and stuff with, and because they sell front hitches and winches. And the guy said, yeah, Chrome, let's do it. So I ordered a Warren 12,000 pound winch that's getting mounted right there on the front of it. I didn't want to spend the chunk of money to get custom front bumpers done just to hide the winch inside, because I think when you put the front trailer hitch on and then put the winch on the front of the trailer hitch, it just doesn't look good. And we all know I like appearance. I like things to be streamlined and clean. So on my research on the Sportsmobile forum, that you can put a front winch on the Ford E-Series vans, on the E150s, 250s, and 350s behind the front bumper. So that way the winch is hidden behind here, and then this just comes out anytime you need to recover yourself or somebody else. Holy, is this ever going to change how we travel in the backcountry this coming summer? On the Weltec Design site, this is the kit that I'm getting, which is the Ford E-Series 6-inch suspension lift kit called the Baja Grocery Getter. Mine is 92 to 2007 model E250 suspension. So you have a choice of either going with a 3-inch lift block. So in my scenario, if I didn't have so much weight on it, I might be able to get away with just doing a 3-inch lifting block, which would make the price $2,700. But as soon as you need the custom leaf spring pack, it brings you to $39.50. So the shocks we're going to be running are going to be the Fox. So total price on that kit is $3,950. If you didn't need the rear springs and you just went with the block, it brings you down to $2,700. Here's the radius arms I was telling you about. Yeah, it's just awesome. It just look at those springs. Insane. So those are the bent I-beams I was telling you about in the front. It literally redoes your entire front suspension on the van. There's another shot. You got the Fox shocks, the radius arms, and this one's got red springs. Pretty cool. Look at that lift. This van is gonna look super tough. That is a substantial amount of clearance compared to what I have. There is a huge gap here. And it's awesome having these things shoved forward a little bit. We may need to do a little bit of cutting on my front bumper, but this kit is gonna be amazing. Yeah, that's a monster amount of clearance in there compared to what I have now. Oh, it's going to be so good. And the tires they recommend to run are the 285/70/17s. Currently on my van right now, we're running 265/70/17. So it'll allow me to get a little of extra lift as well, adding a larger tire. I'm going to show you guys the winch I chose. So I'm on hitchweb.com right now. These guys got everything when it comes to like off-road stuff or recovery gear. So the winch I ordered was this one here. It's the Warren V12 12,000 pound winch with 80 feet of wire on the front of it, and the cost on the unit is $893 Canadian. Yeah, super stoked. And while I was on Hitchweb going, well, buy crazy, I picked myself up the sidewall here for my Rhino Rack Sunseeker 2 awning. The sidewall, the reason why I wanted it is because when it rains outside and it's windy, it blows the rain sideways, soaking everything underneath it. So getting one of the sidewalls there is going to at least help us stay a little bit drier on those rainy days. I never thought when I first moved into the van that I would be here today, making changes to my van to help our backcountry travels be a little bit safer, a lot smoother on the ride, and have everything we need to get us unstuck. When I started, I was a pavement princess. I barely drove down a gravel road, let alone put my van out there in the dirt and go somewhere where there's no cell reception. So this whole side and changes in my world, guys, it feels so good. I feel like I'm becoming an entirely new human being, and it is a lot of fun. But that comes with a lot of learning. And getting a winch, I don't even know how to use one. I've seen them, I've watched lots of YouTube videos, but I've never touched a winch physically in my life. So all of these changes in my world are all just educational stuff for me. But I never thought when I first started that I would be here seeking more and more of the backcountry. When I purchased this van, I never bought it for the backcountry reasons. So my current van does have limitations. I never expected when I first bought the van that it would have an entire camper van build in the back of it, because I bought my van for my DJ business. I never expected to be living in it, but here we are today, many, many years later, super stoked about waking up every day inside of this van, which I call my home. When you're buying your van, try to think about your future van life. I know that's a hard thing to do because I never expected to be a backcountry boy like I am now, because I was always a city boy. Bright lights, loud nightclubs, girls, all that DJ stuff in my world. That was it. I seeked cities. Like, if I was gonna move from Vancouver, it would have been to Toronto because it was a bigger city. Now, I don't even want to be near even this town of Squamish because I'd rather be back on the bush where there is nobody. But try to plan your van around your lifestyle and what you could see in your future. My van has a lot of limitations because it is the E250, so I should have bought the 350, and then I'll have the smaller 4.6 liter engine, where it would have been pretty awesome to have like the 7.3 diesel or something crazy with lots of power, because the power part is a limitation for me because my van is heavy. But if I had the bigger diesel and maybe in the 350 with all this stuff in that vehicle, my van wouldn't feel so sluggish sometimes. But I'm doing the best I can with the van that I have, and I'm gonna ride this thing out until it leaves me stranded one day, and and I'm done pouring money into it. But for now, man, this is my home. I love this thing, and I'm stoked to be able to make some more changes to it to give us a better ride in the backcountry and better ability to get us unstuck when that bigger suspension and all that fun stuff we're putting in from Weltec Designs gets us stuck, because chances are with a higher lift, maybe bigger tires, all these things, I know they're all just gonna get me even more stuck. That's why I bit the bullet on getting a damn winch, because I know this is just gonna get it's gonna get me in trouble. Anyway, you guys, hopefully you enjoyed watching this. I'm super stoked to show you guys all these conversions when they happen. I'm hoping that all this stuff goes in a month or so, because the faster we get this stuff in our van, the faster we get to get out there and hit the road. But yeah, within the next couple of months or so, we're going to be taking this thing out and putting all these new upgrades to the test this year, and I am stoked. All right, guys, thanks for watching.